Audio Jungle.
Welcome to another edition of Bias in the South News Things on Flip TV. Of course, it's still Michael Kebenitri right here with you on Flip TV. Just dishing it out the way you want it. All across the globe, everybody talking about Flip TV. Alright, the newsstand. We have the Punch newspaper adding his stand. What is the Punch saying? Federal government under fire for tagging NSAS campaigners terrorists. Federal government under fire for tagging NSAS campaigners terrorists. We have the rider here. Government turning Boko Haram insurgents to freedom fighters, protesters, terrorists. Government turning Boko Haram insurgents to freedom fighters and protesters, terrorists. It is an attempt to intimidate state panels of inquiry, alleges Mike Exekome. Federal government is sincere, pretentious, says Nigeria Bar Association, that's the NBA. To government, treasury routers assents, says Odi Kalu. On to the next one, we have Army declares Shekau Al-Banawi, 84 other Boko Haram terrorists wanted. Ohaneze bags Sumai on defection, says PDP unkind to Indigo. We have some pictures here. What are these pictures illustrating? Scenes of anti-government demonstration on Angolan Independence Day in Luanda on Wednesday. You can see these pictures on the front page of the Punch newspaper. We have some of the citizens in Angola are protesting, expressing their feelings about the current situation in that country. UNILAG also hails Buhari's directive reinstating sacked Vice Chancellor, 36-year-old man jailed 14 years for raping Ogun minor Oka. And the last story we'll be reading out to you viewers of Pasake the Soft Exco takes second term oath today. These are the stories we have on the front page of this journal. Of course, we have some of our reviewers here to express their feelings concerning the stories on the front page of this journal. Let's quickly join them for more stories and analysis. I'll be back in a jiffy. Even if the people have been barred from protesting, they still have the right to express their feelings on this platform. And here we are still talking about the NSAS protest, that's the aftermath of the NSAS protest. Of course, yesterday we discussed that certain celebrities have been tagged as sponsors of or promoters of NSAS protests, which the federal government has calmed down on. But quickly to what we have here, we have federal government under fire for tagging NSAS campaigners, terrorists. Here is a country that we have a terrorist group called Boko Haram, and we see federal government tagging the protesters, terrorists. Don't you think this is outrageous?
It's quite unfortunate what we are seeing in Nigerian states. You can just recall, was it yesterday, an arm of the Boko Haram where amnesty was extended to them, and a ceremonial breaking ground of their graduation or thereabouts was held yesterday. I mean, these are people who are known for heinous crime, who have perpetrated heinous crime against humanity, who have beheaded over several thousands of people on the basis of religious sycophancy. And these people have not been brought to book. And the government of Nigeria is celebrating this internationally acclaimed and recognized terrorists that have been attacked, or that is ranking above the fourth deadliest terrorist group on the surface of the earth. You extend amnesty to them, you place them on monthly allowance. You see, using the Nigerian payers tax to sponsor them. You can see that Nigeria government itself is terrorist personified. What is terrorist? Terrorist simply means the act of terror. You see, when you infringe on fundamental human rights of the citizens, that is an act of terror. When you, clamp down on their rights of expression, their right of movement, their right of conscience of expression, you are indirectly, perpetuating the act of terror. There could no longer be any other greater terror than this, where you opened fire on people who are reciting the national anthem. The integrity of Nigeria was brought to a stake at that day, the 20th of October 2020, and Nigeria will never recover from such great shock. It is quite unfortunate.
All right, that's what we're talking about, and we've still been saying since last week. But we have government turning Boko Haram against freedom fighters, protesters to terrorists, which we've discussed. It's an attempt to intimidate state panels of inquiry, alleges Mike Executive. Now, there is a judicial panel set up to investigate the Lekki shootings in Lagos, and there have been certain stories, kind of covering. Yes, of course. Covering the investigation.
The investigation. They want to frustrate and circumvent the truths. That is Nigeria for you. The truth, of course, is before the international communities. It's before the global world view. So there is nothing they can do to cover up. The whole world is watching them. The youth are, of course, following them up. You can see as a result of that, the frozen account of some youths, the youth dedication to that delegate to that committee with pulled out. You see, as a sign of protesting. You see, Nigeria will never get better. Why? Because we have people within the corridor of power who have seared conscience, whose conscience are dead. You see, they can never change. You hardly can change the spots in a leopard. And it's quite unfortunate, the only language they understand very well and clearly is violence. Once there is violence, of which they are calling for, because when you are infringing on people's rights, when you are clamping down on people's rights, when you are stepping on people, at a point, in fact, Nigerian youths are the best in the world. There is no other nation that could tolerate what Nigerian youths have tolerated over the decades. Nigerian youths have been patient with them. Nigerian youths have conducted themselves in an orderly manner. And a time came, they said, okay, we are not holding you responsible for the past errors. Over 60 years of decadence.
But what
we want you to know now, that we can continue with the error of the past. We cannot keep progressing on the error of the past. We can get it right. We are not holding you responsible for the atrocities you have committed. But let's chart the way forward. Let's create a new Nigeria, where government, the art of governance and accountability and transparency, where, of course, the equitable distribution of our common fortunes or wealth will be seen working, distributed, where everybody will be proud to be called a Nigerian. And this demonic incarnates refuse to heed to that. And of course, their actions is before us. They never wanted you to succeed, Mr. Mike. They never wanted me to grow. I Chigozie. They never wanted me to live out my dreams. As it stands now, as a young man, Mr. Mike, you are about to marry, of course, in few months or thereabouts. I think you are preparing for that. Of course, you have to do that as far as, of course, you have the opportunity, no more delay. And you can see that probably the cost of things probably must have been one of the reasons most of the Nigerian youths are not married. Most of the Nigerian youths are not in school, are out of school. Most of the Nigerian youths are roaming the streets. Why? Because there is no job and there is not any attempt to create an enabling environment where, I mean, that can foster that and engender economic growth. They're only making promises, lip promises on medias, on their demonic medias and induced medias. So what you're seeing, Nigerians are in suffering. Nigerians are suffering. I'm not happy the way I am. You see, I know where I should have been given equal opportunity. You can see that, okay, what happened? Boko Harams are being celebrated as the first citizens. Why the mere protesters, who are legitimate protesters, attack terrorists? You can imagine the kind of environment, the kind of society we found ourselves, where the ugly and the bad become more celebrated, and the good and morally sound people are tagged as enemies of the state. And you cannot get anything better. Why? Because our system and the people within the corridor of power are just a mistake.
Yeah, good morning.
You're welcome,
Mike. I greet you. Right, I greet you.
You were boiling some minutes ago behind the camera, and I realized that you're still talking on the current situation in the country, especially the clampdown on protesters by the federal government. Currently, some of these protesters have been tagged as terrorists, and which we have the government not turning Boko Haram insurgents to freedom fighters. Now, don't you think the government needs to balance this? There is difference between a terrorist and a protester. Don't you think so?
I really acknowledge that a terrorist is a terrorist. A protester is a civil rights. Protesting is a civil rights. I mean, and it's civil rights activists that embark on protests. Why terrorism? They are the extremists, religion extremists, political extremists, and tribal extremists. What I'm being now about what government is now turning around to give a bad name to a good dog and give a good name to a bad dog. Look at what's happening now. The protesters, the NSAS protesters, the government itself accepted that this protest was peaceful until the hoodlum hijacked it. And I'm still now referring them back to Abuja protest that happened. You could remember the Hassan that happened in Abuja then. The cars were burnt. Nobody was arrested for burning cars, innocent people's cars that was parked around the protest area. Now that is when the government should just face the reality now instead of blackmailing all round. I'm just not too happy this morning with what I'm saying on ground, because we have a government that is speaking with two voices now, that is behaving like a chameleon now, and this is a government that is trying to paint the good black and the bad goods. I'm just so surprised that this same government that has accepted that the protest was peaceful until the hoodlums hijacked it. And what we heard in Abuja is that these thugs were sponsored, was being conveyed to the destruction site they went to burn cars by the government officials, vehicles. They were in the jeeps, executive jeeps that brought them to Abuja to lay to lay terror on the innocent people protesting there. Those guys, none of them has been arrested for now. Now, another thing that is baffling me now is the government of divide and rule. Now, somebody is in Hague now, International Criminal Court now, to go and bring up petition against Falana. That Falana is the one inciting. The people that are real, genuine NSAS, nobody incited them. And they were so peaceful. Nothing was destroyed. Instead of even, causing harm to the government property, they were even helping government to keep everywhere tidied. I saw them. I saw what was going on. There was to the extent that they make everywhere clean, just to voice out their mind, for their voice to be heard that there's a lot of injustice going on in this country. I think people should look beyond the power, that one day they will leave power.
Who hijacked the process?
The government,
who hijacked the demonstration?
The government know them.
The government? The
initial people, the government mercenaries. I'll say that. The government mercenaries hijacked the protest because it did not just start today. It started in Abuja the other time. That's when people were protesting. I still repeat it. Cars were burnt. That's arson, man. That's arson. Did they arrest any one of those guys that burned the car? In the normal climb, when you are protesting, police are there to secure the protesters. We've seen it in America. There must be a barricade. Now some guys went there with government, with the executive cars, flashy cars, to go and lay ambush and lay mayhem on the innocent citizens protesting peacefully. So you should know who are the people that are causing that carnage and arson in all over they has been sponsored. They has been sponsored, and they cannot be sponsored by people that started things peacefully. Really. And it's the failure of the government for you to allow hoodlums to take over. Where are the securities? For God's sake. And the time you got to intervene, you did never intervene. The government went asleep until things degenerated into destructions, which nobody supports. And I really go against those things those guys did, burning our edifice. We
really appreciate you.
All right, thank you, bro.
The situation of the country, is not favorable to anybody.
Not favorable.
Not favorable at all. Unfriendly situation.
Unfriendly situation.
Economically and the other way.
And it seems the protest that took place some weeks ago is being unfriendly with to some of these protesters.
Yes, that is too bad, because if CBN could call those protesters terrorists who are Boko Haram, then CBN himself, that's Emefiele, let me tell you, Godwin Emefiele and his families, they are all members of ISWAP, not only Boko Haram, Islamic State of West African province. That is Godwin Emefiele and his family are ISIS plus Boko Haram joined together. If Nigerian youth could be terrorists in his eyes, in his own understanding, he is double ISIS and Boko Haram. I don't think that man has nothing upstairs. Yes, why must you tag Boko Haram, compare Boko Haram to Nigerian youths, people that are agitating for their rights? They're agitating for everybody.
Good governance.
They're agitating for good governance. They're agitating for good governance for all, for everybody. You say those youths, born of women womb, good wombs, those youths from good wombs, you know how much their parents spent on their heads to tutor them after studying them at home. They sent them to higher institutions. Those youths are not Almajiri. As far as I'm concerned, the Lagos protesters, they are not Almajiris. They are learned youths. They are not Almajiri. For Christ's sake, Emefiele should come out and apologize to Nigerians and in Nigeria here and in diaspora. He should tender apology now before it is late. Let me tell you, if another protest comes, he's going to explain to us the reason why we are all terrorists. Because I believe we are not terrorists. Yes, my family, from where I come from, we are Africans. Let alone committing any arsonism. We are not arsonists. No act of arson from my family. So I don't not see the reason why. Nigeria, the protesters in Lagos
We are protesting peacefully.
Does it mean we Nigerians don't have the right to protest again?
I don't know why. This democratic setup. We have right to protest. We have right to air our point out. We don't riot. We don't riot. We are trying to, uncage what's up in our mind that it's not right.
Right.
Thank you. That's what we did. We just uncaged what we've been carrying inside, that is bothering us for a long time. Well, that's what we are doing. We are not destroying anybody's things. Let them know where they are getting it wrong. These people are not getting it right. And for them to correct themselves. If you are in government like this and they don't want to listen to people, telling you what to do or where you get it wrong or right, it means you are not, in a democratic setup. This is pure dictatorship.
Everybody has the right to speak. Everybody has the right to express his or her feelings about an unwanted situation in the country. Now, what's your take on the clampdown on protesters, especially this government?
Okay. Oh, you're asking my take on the clampdown on the protesters?
Yeah.
Well, the federal government is confused, and they are the ones that brought, I repeat, they are the ones that brought confusion among the protesters, because the protesters were protesting peacefully, calmly, and maturely. Then all of a sudden, government men have had unnecessary premonition, thinking that the protest they are doing is about overthrowing the government.
Right?
And so they now begin to have bad omen, begin to have bad heart, begin to bring in evil thoughts in them, thinking that the protesters were protesting against the overthrowing the Buhari administration. It was not like that. Then what did they do? They had to bring in hoodlums. They had to bring their terrorists too, so that it appear as if those guys or those protesters do not have clue, do not have anybody guiding them. Government are the real terrorists we have. They know that. And if they say that the protesters are terrorists, according to what we read in all these papers, Punch and so on, they should fix out the terrorists there. They should fix out the terrorists and bring them to book. And then one other thing government did that was wrong, capitally wrong, was to begin to arrest protestants. By now, government should have ended Boko Haram in the northeast. Protesters were talking about if you have the freedom to protest, you have the right to go anywhere and protest, but government should not clamp down on those people who are talking about bad governance. And what they were protesting, why? Number one, to end the incessant killing of the SARS, to end the hot feelings of this, hurting the masses.
Yes, police brutality.
And so police brutality, number one, and they better pay for police so that they can begin to do that which is needful. So was that wrong? No.
Good governance.
That's right.
As a whole.
So all of a sudden, government now turned them to terrorists. Oh, too bad. Too bad. Honestly speaking, I really pity those people who are advising Buhari. And also Buhari should look into this. Every day they keep on saying that Buhari is good. That the people advising Buhari, they are bad. I don't take that no. Everything lies settled down on his table. He knows what to do.
All right, thank you so much. You're welcome once again.
Good morning.
We are still on the clampdown on protesters.
This morning, yesterday night, I've just been laughing at this nation. I'm laughing at our government because some of our youth think that those name of people they bring out are only those people they are attacking. They are attacking now. It's not only them, they are attacking Nigeria youth. Because the reason why those one name show they are the celebrities. They know. They don't know me and you on the street. Those are the names they know they can bring outside. And now they are saying the NSAS protesters are terrorists. Who are the NSAS protesters? Are they not Nigeria youth? The government is now come openly to call Nigeria youth terrorists. The same government that the whole region have been crying to call S-men coming out with guns, killing innocent people, terrorists. The government have never come out one day
We have never heard one herdsmen have been arrested. And not today, herdsmen are still killing people. In every village, herdsmen are still going there killing innocent villagers everywhere. But the government have never tagged them terrorists. And now they are calling all the whole Nigeria youth terrorists. You understand? Because we demand for something. That is the kind of mad government we have. The youth demand for something. Now the youth are not terrorists. If the terrorists come, I want to let them know. Because I was telling one man yesterday that the brutality of police and other security agencies in Nigeria, the one that caused problem everybody is seeing now, is just a small one. But the next one that will come, because now they say the whole youth are terrorists. I mean, they say we are terrorists. So a one that will come, every security agent want to use force because they may see a gathering of a youth. They will say maybe those are planning coup. You understand? And they may do anything. And that's why I say the brutality of police before is just a child's play for what will happen ahead. And that is the one that will make everything, everybody, be the president, governor, all of them. Now fire, they will set them ablaze. Because I now see that this our government, they don't have sense. They don't know anything. Instead of them to wake up and say, see, it's only in Nigeria that Buhari himself had been a president or had been a leader of this nation before 1960. And he's still coming back again to drag power with people. And they are still telling us that the future is for the youth. Then many of them, yeah, they have started ruling this nation since 1960. Before 1967. And they are still coming back to drag the power with the young ones. And when the young ones demand. I want to ask now, if since 1960, has there been any time that Nigeria youth come out to demand for something for this government? Is there any day? No day, because they just allow them do what they like. And now the youth will rise up now to demand for a good governance, to end police brutality. Police supposed to be a security to the masses, not an enemy to them. And now the youth will rise up to cry and say this is what we want. They are now calling the terrorists. Is that what the Nigerian government want to do? When terrorists start now, can everybody, even Boko Haram, they are the ones that bring Boko Haram. They are complaining. Talk about every region, every street that youth are now. Youth come out as a terrorist. Can they stand it? That is the issue. When we talk about normal town on the street, that cause havoc. You understand? That's what I want to tell everybody. Let Nigeria government come back to their senses and better call the youth and accept to succumb to their demand. Or if they still keeping on tagging the terrorists, terrorists will come. And when the terrorists come, they cannot stand it again. Right, that's what I want to tell them.
Really appreciate you for joining us on today's edition of this program, and they want to join us next time, same platform. Michael Adekunle is my name. Behind the camera I have Femi Davis. Viewers and reviewers will really appreciate you. To be sincere with you, join us next time. Michael Adekunle is saying goodbye to you all. Bye.
Bye.